about the things.
And welcome to Corner Cafe, and I have a lady on. Well, she hasn't been on for quite some years. I'm very pleased to have her back in studio. We have Linda Story in studio. Welcome to the Corner Cafe, Linda.
Hey, Rachel, how you doing?
It's great. It's great to have you back. We haven't touched base for a while now.
I was trying to figure out how long ago that was. That was a long time ago.
It was a long time ago. I think you were in studio when we were in a different building, so that's been quite some time.
That's right, yeah.
So all those years, all that time, I mean, you are so busy, but what have you been up to? Give us some highlights of the last couple years.
The last couple years, I've been working on writing my biography. I started it years ago when the MS Society asked me or suggested you should write a book. And that was a long time ago. Just because I'm a musician and I have MS, and, you know, I used to travel on the road in bands, playing guitar, playing bass, all the time. But anyway, when I got married and moved out here and had a baby and all that kind of stuff, things changed a lot. But I did start up another band. And that's when I think I ran into you, yeah.
Yeah. You know, the show is focusing around being a positive influence, which you definitely are. To have a life change, diagnosed with MS, and you have decided, you know, I'm going to be a warrior for this. I'm going to go out and teach people and educate people. And I'm not going to let go of my passion. In the midst of all of this is quite amazing. And you definitely are a positive influence to those around you, those you meet. Do you have any particular story of meeting somebody and them just kind of awestruck about what you do and your attitude?
Well, people will look at me on stage and you get this like, what? I did that myself, you know, because I'm used to be standing on stage and playing my bass and my guitar, and I couldn't do that anymore. And I had children, a daughter and a son, who was around 4, and but I've been writing, you know, when I stopped performing and getting married, having children, I just wrote. You know, just anything I had on my mind, I wrote. So I got really good at writing. But yeah, my attitude, I have kind of a blues rock band, and we were playing up at Little Bear in Evergreen, and everybody's staring at me, of course. I said, yeah, I'm in a wheelchair. And I said, you know what? Did you guys go stupid when you sat down? And they all they just cracked up, you know. I guess not. I said, well, I'm just sitting in a chair. You guys want to rock and roll?
Awesome.
And we had a good time, yeah.
Yeah, I love that attitude. Were you raised with this attitude, or how does your faith play into your outlook on life?
Oh, I think your faith has a lot to do with that, you know, and just knowing that you feel that there's a power behind you.
Right.
And then, you know, my mom was just so kind. Parents that are kind are, you know, hard to find sometimes.
Yes.
My dad was a bit strict, but I was raised in a Lutheran church in Broomfield. Dad was a pilot for United. They'd come from Chicago. And they started that church up, and so I was singing in the choirs with Mom. Mom was a musician. She played piano and sang. And so I was naturally singing in the little children's choir and all the choirs. And by the time I was in 3rd grade, I was on stage doing a solo, you know, so. But my faith, what is the beginning? When I start the book, it's called All My Life, I have been driven by the forces of love, music, and faith, believing that all three could coexist happily and harmoniously forever.
Beautiful. I love that. What is a memory, either from childhood or just recently, that you'll never forget?
I mean, there's so many.
I'm sure there's so many beautiful memories.
You said recently or later, yeah. It was just a little flashback. I don't know why. So I'm a guitar teacher also, right? So, Mom, I was playing guitar since I was 11, playing piano since I was really little. And I ended up teaching my mom's friends' kids. So I ended up being a guitar teacher. And when I lived on the coast of Oregon for a while, and I taught for the community college. So now I am here in Colorado, and I have my little son, and I'm teaching him guitar. And we're sitting out in the backyard, and I'm teaching him like the A chord for all you guitar players, you know, and you know, he's just strumming back and forth. And I said, okay, go to the next chord, D, do. They go back to A, do. And I started singing, Kansas City, here I come, do. Then he goes to the next chord, Kansas City. Man, his eyes just brightened up. It's like, I'm really playing the guitar.
That's so cute.
That was just a child thing, but it was so cool.
Yeah. Well, what a precious memory. Do you find, Linda, that people are ignorant about MS?
Yeah. I didn't know what it was when I was diagnosed. I was in Washington State, and in between bands, I worked in the fields, and I was exposed to paraquat. And that's what really set the MS off. So I was tripping, and I didn't know what it was. And so I had to look it up, and finally I went to the doctor. In fact, I could read you a part of that if you want me to.
Yes, please.
Okay, the diagnosis. I made an appointment with Dr. Cocaine. He asked me to sit on an examination table with my legs crossed. He took out the iconic doctor's hammer and hit my knee. My foot instantly reacted and almost kicked the doctor. He looked at me and said, "You know what you have, don't you?" Hoping I was wrong, because I looked it up the other day. Honestly, I didn't know if I had it or not. Why would he have known that? He then continued telling me there is no cure, and don't believe anyone that says they have the cure. Steroids were the common treatment at the time, but he told me that the best option was steroids did not work. Do you mind if I have a cigarette? At the time I was smoking, I asked, could the cigarette have anything to do with this disease? He said, no cigarettes. I have nothing to do with that. And yes, by all means have it. But I'm not going to go into all that. But basically, I still felt the same. I was the same person.
Right.
You know, I was still walking. I just had this crazy disease, MS, and you don't know what's going to happen. There's a number of things that could happen. But my attitude was, hey, I'm just going to keep going. You know, I'm just going to keep going and hope for the best. And I did. You know, I think I cried for maybe 5 minutes when I went to a friend's house. But that was it. It was like, I'm still here. This is my life.
Right.
And I just kept going.
Wow, that's powerful. Very powerful. Have you run across, I'm sure, you know, you have a lot of friends in the musician world, but also just running across people with MS as well. And how is that camaraderie with those people that share in that?
Oh, yeah. I got a call. You know, I've got my own website. If people want to go to that Linda Story with the EY at the end.com. A friend of mine, Mark Gilligan, well, it wasn't at the time, I got a phone call from an Irish musician, and he was living in Holland, and he had MS, and he was trying to touch base with other musicians with MS. That was in 2005 that we talked, but he and I were determined to try to get together to be musicians, you know, both people with MS, and we found a bass player too that lived right here that had MS, and we just took time. It took about 3 years, but we managed to put a new nonprofit together and fly him out here, and we both recorded a song of how we felt about MS. But that camaraderie was tight. I mean, he and I have been friends forever, and I know we brought him out here. The MS Society liked it. They had us perform out in Chicago at the towers over there. And then we flew to Amsterdam and performed out there. So that just, we never would have met.
Right.
If we didn't both have the same thing. Unfortunately, he passed away, not from MS, a few years ago, but he was a smoker, kind of got him. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was full of energy. With MS, this guy, he was still walking when I first met him and jumping around the stages, but not as fast as he used to, I guess.
Oh, that's a beautiful memory right there. What do you feel is the biggest challenge?
I find the way people treat you really affects me more than anything. Can you believe that? Yeah. It's just the way people treat you. So, old musician friend of mine used to say, always be kind to people. You don't know what they've been through.
Right.
You don't know. Just be good.
Right.
And I think that's one of the things that lack a lot of times, but it's us. So we can't have to worry about if other people are kind. We just need to be kind.
Exactly. Right. Well, if you're just tuning in, I'm talking with Linda Story. She's a musician and she has MS, but she's just a beautiful woman, and she shares and educates about MS and also just shares her beautiful music. lindastory.com, with an EY at the end, lindastory.com, is where you can learn more and also listen to her music. Linda, what are some of your goals in the next few years?
My goals in the next few years, I got to finish this book. It's already 360 pages long, and there's so much that has happened during that time. I think it's going to be kind of entertaining, too. So I'm hoping to
yeah, because you have a good sense of humor.
Yeah. The psychologist once said, Linda, you've got a man sense of humor. I said, well, I grew up with two brothers, and I've been in bands with men
Right.
for years. I rarely have worked with a woman in music. Wendy Wu is one, but there's very few. It's mainly guys, and
Right.
they're always joking around. And just try to stay well and help people, whatever I could do.
Yeah. What's some of your pet peeves, Linda?
I'm sure I have some. I can't really come up with one right now, nor am I, but she's working with me here, Nora. She's my caregiver, so she helps me with things I can't reach with my arms and stuff.
Yeah, that's very nice. It's great to be connected to people who can serve us in that way. So thank you for all you do, Nora. When people ask you, how can I help the mission of spreading education about MS, what do you usually tell them?
I think radio shows like this are good. And the MS Society endeavor is really good. But talking to people with MS is a really good idea. And there is hope with MS. Back when I was diagnosed, they would say steroids, but then I was told not to. But there are different injections that you can take now that can help slow it down. Not necessarily going to stop it. I did talk to a Dr. Volmar right now. Dr. Volmar was the head neurologist over at Anschutz for the MS Center. And he and I have been talking about this for years. He just retired, but using our own stem cells, not anybody else's stem cells, because they match better, he and I have been talking about this as reparative. So my MS stopped years ago, and it's just in the back of my neck, one area that affects my arms and legs. I can still feel everything, and I don't need catheters or anything like that. I just, have to get around in chairs and stuff. But he is proposing going up through the veins from the feet all the way through the arteries into the base of the brain. And he's working on getting the stem cells with an adherent. This is what he's working on. I have his proposal if we have time to read it. But basically, we could do it here in Colorado.
Wow.
Because he says we have the people. And Dr. Volmar is serious. If you know him, he's one of the head neurologists out there. for years and years on MS. And we could do it, but we need, to get it backed. But once we do that, he told me this, 25 years ago or so, or more than that, that we could, if I could get it in there and it hears, it would repair itself.
Wow.
Yeah, and he and I have been pushing that forever. So anybody who wants to know about that, they can get a hold of me.
And when you say get it back, does that mean just like the government helped to fund this, or does this mean individuals help to fund your operation?
I actually talked to Joe Biden about it. I was the president. I was lucky enough to talk to him. He was interested. But right now, you're not going to get any grants for that type of research. They're not happening. But I think Colorado, the people here, I do know a lot of the senators and stuff. I'm a pretty big advocate at the Capitol. I've been up there, it wasn't that many months ago. I was up there a few months ago. And we could do it here. And you got to think about this. We really need to do this. Fulmar knows what he's talking about. If we did this, you know how much money you would save on taking care of me alone? I need somebody every single day to help me. And we would save so much more money this state on Medicare, Medicaid, all that stuff, if we would simply do what Dr. Fulmar's saying. The guy's a genius, and you can't get any more up the line than Dr. Fulmar. He is the top guy. He was the top researcher in the Anschutz. So anybody who wants to know about that, please contact me.
Yeah, absolutely. Just amazing how far medicine has come. And,
yeah, I could have been walking all this time. I thought because I knew about this 25 years ago. Go, great, another 10 years, I'll be walking. Yeah. They're not doing it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, definitely reach out to Linda. Once again, her website is lindastory with the EY at the end.com, lindastory.com. So, Linda, what are some future gigs? Are you going to be playing in the future here in Denver?
No, I'm not playing right now. I had surgery that kind of messed with my throat. You can probably tell you got a lot of frog in it. And so I'm not singing. Also, my daughter, Jessica, she performed with me, but she went out to Indiana, and she got her PhD in Central Eurasian Studies. So she's working, doing that. I do want to get in the studio with her, though, this summer. And Don't Let Us Stop You will be the name of the book. And that is the song that I'm sure you've heard that one, yeah. I wrote that after 9/11.
Yeah.
And it's like, don't stop, keep going, people.
Right.
We can do this, just never stop. And so I want to add some more harmonies, higher harmonies. I'm going to try and get in the studio with her when she comes out this summer. And there's a couple other tunes that I want to record. So, I got to tell a lot of songs, a lot of stories in my library. And I just want to get it all put together.
Yeah.
And I am a publisher. I publish my music, the words and all that. But it'd probably be a good idea if somebody who was much better at it, could help me out on that, because I got so much I want to put together and get it out.
Yeah. Yeah. So much inspiration too. And I'm sure, friends or family or someone you met is just so discouraged and they want to give up. And what do you say to them, regarding, don't let it stop you, obviously your song, but give someone's right now who's listening some advice regarding that.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay to be mad. It's okay to be upset. It's okay. You cry if you got to cry.
Right.
I did, I only cried for 5 minutes with a diagnosis, but I've had my cries after that. And it's okay. But just don't stay there. Just don't stay there. I know it's hard, but don't stay there, and just, really, hold on to your faith. Hold on to who you are. You know who you are. It's just me. I was looking at myself in in the mirror in a wheelchair saying, are you honestly going to go do this? And I'm going, yes, somebody's got to do it.
Yeah.
Of course, my life goes on. I'm the same person
Right.
I was. And you are too, whoever's out struggling. Whatever's happened to you, you just have to deal with it. You got to invent. I'll tell you, if it's not out there, if it hasn't been invented already, you invent it.
Right.
I've had to do that. I was trying to pull my legs up into bed. It was getting hard. So I took a strap and wrapped it around my leg with a little pull thing, so I'd pull up my legs to get him into bed. And when I couldn't drive, my legs were getting weak for driving, and I was having my daughter, and I wanted to keep driving, so I got hand controls. And those work really well. So there are ways to get around just about anything. And that's what I, say in that song, go over or under, through it all, whatever you have to do, just keep going, believe in yourself, and, have your faith, and it'll make you strong.
Right. Keeping that positive attitude is what I keep on hearing. Yeah, very inspirational. When we go through challenges, no matter what they are, and every person on this planet will, we can also choose to change for the good and have our heart changed. What are some ways in which you've seen yourself change in your heart?
Probably the most dramatic was when I was going to have an operation. I'd broken my shoulder, and I had to go see. I'd been dislocated. My shoulder had been dislocated, and this hospital didn't notice that it was dislocated. They shoved it up into a broken shoulder, and I ended up having to go to Elway's doctor.
Wow.
To fix it. He's the only one who would touch it. But before the operation, I just felt like I'm going to be okay. I'm going to make it through this, and I'm going to be instrumental in helping people out. I'm going to have to just look for those open doors, and I'll know when they're there, and just do it.
Right.
So it's amazing and I felt very strongly I'd be involved with the Senate. And I didn't know anybody in the Senate. But I was involved with a program called CDAS down at the Capitol, where instead of going through agencies, you can hire your own people and know who's coming into your house. So it's CDASS, CDAS. And that way I can get my own people coming in and stuff. So I was involved in putting that together. And then later on, I was called by a senator a few years later, and he said, well, we need somebody to testify in front of the Senate. So I testified in front of the Senate. And I would talk to them. And then after the Senate, it would happen all the time. I wouldn't instigate it. I would just be called. Okay, well, this other senator wants to talk with you, or this other one. I mean, recently I talked to Bridges, Senator Bridges. So I just, but I know that I'm being led, so
right.
I'm very confident. That's when it really happened, is that year. I think that was 2001.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just going to ask you that, because you said you somehow knew that you would be involved, and so you feel the Lord has led you and guided you in that, and He told you that.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. Beautiful. So once again, listeners, go to lindastory.com, lindastory.com, to learn more and to listen to her music. Linda, we're almost about done with the interview. We have a couple minutes left. Anything you want to share in addition to all the beautiful things you've already shared?
Well, I am happy to talk with people, and if they just, email me at lstory, that's LSTOREY, at Linda, LINDA, story, STOREY.com. I will answer.
Yeah.
Give me a few days, but if you have any questions, and yeah, we just all need to help each other.
Right. Yeah, you definitely have a heart for community and to help people. And you are a positive influence in our community. For those who want to help just with the political stuff and help to get things rolling like that, just connect with you, or is there other avenues that they can, research as well?
I would, if you need help at home and you qualify for Medicaid, CDAS will help you. Get a hold of them. If you can't figure it out, I can give you a phone number if you just email me or call. And the MS Society is on Broadway. Let's see. It's right about where I-25 crosses over Broadway. There's the MS Society's up in one of those buildings. It's that area.
Yeah, that's great. And also, kind of going back to this new procedure and stuff, how can people help to get that new procedure going?
Make noise. Let your senators know that this is what you want done. We have a budget, and I know it's really tight, and they had to tighten their budget this year, but investing in this is going to save this state a lot of money.
Yeah.
And we don't need federal funds, so we just need to. And Colorado's a strong state. I grew up here, left for 10 years, we came back. But let your senators know what you want, and your representatives.
Yeah. Get involved. This is what I hear. So get involved. There's so many ways to get involved, and definitely reach out to Linda. Thank you so much, Linda, for coming back in studio and being on the Corner Cafe.
Beth, thank you for having me.
And thank you for tuning in. You can go to our website, cornercaferadio.com. That's cornercaferadio.com. And I'm going to see you at the cafe next week.
Chase the day away at the Corner Cafe.